So, last time on Y2K, we got flashed.
And that dude, I don't quite get what's up with his van. It looks pretty,
It looks very similar to the other one.
yeah. Also, it had a license plate 10101. I don't know how U.S. license plates work, Diacorn. Is that a valid one?
No.
Okay.
So, normally, I actually don't show off these mine dungeon bits because they take for fucking ever. But in this case, I wanted to show what we got for our free 2 levels. So we are now approaching level 30. Isn't that exciting?
It makes me look forward to what could possibly be on level 30 with some degree of trepidation.
Well, it's a multiple of 10, so you know what that means.
Hey, so, yeah. Look, I gotta go away for a while. I don't know when I'm coming back. Things will be fine. Your mom is a good mom. She's,
So here's that personal
I'm your
pathos
dad, and I'll
aspect that I
always
was
be your
talking
dad.
about earlier, I guess.
Has Alex been watching the Red Green
Don't
show?
forget that. Look,
I don't
things
think
might be tough.
I don't think Alex
but-
has good enough taste
Yeah.
for that, really.
Crap, I'm terrible at this. Sometimes adults realize that they made mistakes. And sometimes...
Yeah, this came totally out of left
mistakes
field
cost
for me.
A lot of money. And
Same.
require a lot of food. And educations.
And I thought they
And
would just
some
sort of give me
adults,
little
like your
cameos
mother,
from various
are better at
interesting people in
providing for those
history after
mistakes than
Dr.
fathers.
Aryabhata, I think
Look,
that was it.
You're lucky
Yeah.
that your mom is smart.
Or maybe
Smarter
not.
than
I'm
I
not.
am.
Don't put yourself down, by the way, Marlene.
Anyway,
Crows are smart.
Sometimes the realization of those mistakes leads you to following other mistakes halfway across the country in hope of finding some dream. A youthful dream with nice legs. Only those legs aren't as smart as your mom's, but...
I'm not sure. It's, again, a problem with this
Anyway,
writing where I'm not
yeah.
sure if we're
So,
explicitly
this
characterizing
doesn't screw
Alex's
you up
dad
too
as a
badly.
terrible person, or if it's
Just-
just kind of coming across
yeah,
that way
you
in a
can have all my
misguided
stuff.
attempt to make him seem relatable.
I left most of it here.
I think it's the
like
second
your
one,
birthright or
actually. Like I think this is supposed to be
my
sort of
clothes are
like...
a bit big.
Well, I brought up Night in the Woods
But you're
before,
wearing
but this is
them,
sort of supposed to
and
be
then you
like
can dress
one of the
just like
reveals
your
toward
old
the end of the
man.
game. Like they start
Try not to
they
make
start
the
laying
same
on the
mistakes I
reveals
made.
thick and heavy at the end of the game because
Okay.
they want you to kind of look back on how you thought before that the main character was unsympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't actually help. It just says that Alex's dad was kind of bad.
Yeah.
And I guess it sort of explains where he got that shirt. Though not the one that says Two Brothers on it.
Right.
Can't imagine where that came from.
That came from the future because... Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now, but I do appreciate the car driving sprite.
Oh yeah, no, I actually think this was a really nice touch. Yeah, I thought it was sort of weird that after I beat the Flasher, our party disappeared. Which, it's doubly weird because in this one, our party is here, so we can just go and talk to Claudio and ask him to drive us somewhere. It almost seems like we were supposed to get the ability to drive the Jeep at the beginning of this, and they just sort of forgot to put it anywhere except for the Flasher boss fight.
Yeah, I can kind of see why, too, because despite my compliment about the model for the Jeep, it was actually misaligned with the ground if you took a look at it from the perspective that the camera was at in that last scene.
Wow.
So where
I didn't
to?
just miss that now, I missed that in editing, too.
I mean, it could be that my eyes are a bit screwed up looking at it, but no, it definitely looked like it was... From the angle you were driving at, it looked like one of the wheels was sinking into the ground farther than the other one.
That may just be sort of a function of the...
Yeah, like, take a look at it. When you're going through the woods there, see how it's slightly leaning... It looks like it's leaning to the left when
Oh, yeah.
it's flush with the camera like that.
I don't think that's necessarily something to get after the game about. Honestly, I think that might just be some artistic... rendering that they did to make it clear that you're driving the Jeep, because otherwise it would, it might look too top down and you wouldn't be able to tell what it was.
Right.
I don't know. That's just my take on it. I'll give this game credit where credit's due.
Sure. Or at the very least, in this case, the way I'd look at it is forgive it a mistake that isn't ultimately a problem when you have so many other problems to look at.
Yeah, I'm not missing the forest for the trees on this one. Oh, bless your heart. I can't wait to take a bite out of that big apple. That's almost endearing.
Almost. Hey, buddy, you know, looking at this from 2019, gas mileage is one of those things you need to be conscientious of.
Yeah, gas is expensive as hell now.
Yeah.
Let's see where Claudia wants to take us next.
So where to?
We've been to 4 out of the 6 places, so let's try them all.
So the question then becomes, is it going to be a mall of the actual shopping variety, or are we just going to get into fights there?
Holy crap! Isn't that it?
That is actually it.
Oh.
Also, did you notice in the last episode that when Rory's message was listing off the locations, one of them was your mom?
I
The
did
first
not.
step is to
I was
calm
dismayed when I got to the list of where we could go and found out my
Let's
mom
all
wasn't
get
on the
around
list because I
them,
figured it
and
would
then
be
one
like
of
her
us will
place of
not.
work or whatever.
Let's be ready to fight, since we don't know what's inside.
I don't want to sound like a wuss, but why are we doing this again?
It is a slightly on-point way of presenting that option.
Save the android.
Whoa, okay.
Okay, good enough.
Huh?
Unexpected furries.
What are those kids doing with this mysterious van? Doesn't anyone else find this a little odd?
So the soul survivors are working with the mall rats.
Oh, they're mall rats. That's... Again,
That's actually a fairly good pun.
Something isn't
again,
right here.
I feel like almost
so those
endearing, but
kids
no,
have the keys to the
there's a
van.
genuine quality to that
The
I
only
definitely
course
like.
of action is to track them down and ask them nicely for them.
And when they say no, we kick their 12-year-old goth butts!
Okay, sounds like a plan. Wait, can anyone pick a lock here?
Oh no.
I remember this dialogue, or hearing about this one.
Yo, wouldn't it be hilarious if I could, out of this ragtag band of misfit friends.
Oh, we're back into
the black
commentary
guy could
town
pick the
now,
lock.
aren't we?
This is straight out of
And
Walking
don't
Dead
pretend you
Season
didn't
1.
Think it. So to answer your racist ass question, I cannot pick a lock. Well, at least not a car lock. I went through a Sherlock Holmes phase and learned to pick basic locks. You know, antique locks, Egyptian wooden pin locks, a warded lock, RFID locks if I had the right equipment. But definitely not a car lock.
What is a warded lock?
So, just to clarify,
I'm going to assume
you
that it's,
can't pick the lock.
A lock with a magical ward on it?
yes.
Probably not.
We're wasting time.
But nobody in this
Let's
party
go
is
after the
capable
rats.
of doing magic. Right? Like, nobody's been allowed to use the M word in this game. It's too postmodern for that.
Yeah. And then, of course, it would have to come with a joke of someone going, magic?
Well, they never did that in The Walking Dead. In that, they weren't allowed to use the Z word.
No, but they did do it in Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, yeah.
And then I feel like it would then lead into a discussion where they'd have an argument over whether it's appropriate to call it Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy III.
Ha. So, not gonna lie, I totally went here off camera one time. It was in one of those 10-minute periods of me just wandering around the continent that I cut out. I don't remember anything about what's in here, but I think I might have gotten a couple of the trash cans. Oh, how generous of him.
I will say there's certainly no shortage of things the NPCs say, I guess.
Well, yeah. I guess they felt they had to put a bunch of NPCs here because it's the mall and all. Remember, in the 90s, people actually went to malls. I don't know whether or not this is one mall rat that we're finding, or whether it's just a bunch of different ones. Like if we're just sort of guiding them toward the exit or whatever. At this point, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing here. I just know I'm supposed to be finding the mall rats.
Something about how they had managed to take the robot.
They had a way of getting into the car.
Hmm.
Or something. Anyway, I cut out about 5 minutes of me looking for the next mall rat. Turns out it was here in the center. You can pop it off the fountain with the dolly, which I guess is kind of neat.
It is a nice touch that you use the cat to chase away the rat.
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty clever if it was intentional. Oh, thank God, a water fountain. Oh no, I forgot to save.
Well,
Oh shit, this looks like a boss fight.
we're in it now.
We are actually in it now.
Oh,
I noticed those semi-park
yep.
posters on the wall. I thought that was what I was supposed to look at.
Why are you guys running from us?
Ooh. Okay, there's an interesting creepiness to them.
Oh god, not this.
I was waiting for Bella to use that portrait again.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah, it's called These Little Brats Have Been Watching Too Much Goosebumps and Reading Too Much H.P. Lovecraft.
Hey, don't hate on H.P. Lovecraft.
Look,
That's
we don't
legit.
have time for these stupid
And
games.
Goosebumps had
The
classics.
darkness hasn't commanded you to do
I don't
anything.
remember any of them offhand,
Give
but
us the keys.
they
to
were
the
there.
van, and we can all walk away unscathed. You can go home, wash off your eyeliner, apologize to
Oh
your
my.
parents, and go back to being normal kids.
Wow, Vella. Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Wow, Michael, you really overacted that line.
I'll ignore that one for now, Michael. Okay, looks like we're going to have to beat up some twerps.
Yeah, so Bella had a goth phase. Big fucking surprise. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, it's a character trait, so I kind of appreciate that it exists.
Yeah,
Also, that was an attack.
I'm glad you liked it, because it never comes up again. They just...
That's not as scary as I thought.
This is a boss fight, but they never use this move again. You just...
I'm sorry.
You just instantly die if you don't manage to have some people dodge the lightning. So that's cool design. So at this point, I just put out the panda barrier. I thought, wow, 2 people in my party died on the first turn before I even got to act. This seems like one of those game over things, right?
Right.
Like where I'm supposed to lose the fight.
And I'm pretty sure that's not how this is going to work, because rather they're just introducing a boss where the primary mechanic is you can only survive the one hit.
Yes. You may have also noticed that the boss had a little tooltip that said they were protected, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
The game's combat engine doesn't leave those messages on screen long enough for you to read them, so I had no idea what was going on at this point. Anyway, this is about where I start figuring out maybe I should let myself lose this fight in case that's the path forward. So I'm gonna try and run. Oh no, can't run.
Because it counts as a boss fight.
Yep. Okay, fine. Whatever, let's just wait for death. You too, Alex.
Also, I can't help but notice that in some of the character status windows, some of the characters just straight up fall out of frame, and other ones are...
Died.
Hi, David Cage.
I'd know that sultry voice anywhere.
Do you feel that tingling?
Yeah, so we weren't actually supposed to lose that fight. Go figure.
Alright, here we go.
Let's start by trying to dodge some of these attacks. Oops. Well, Alex is dead, so now we have no way of harming the boss.
Man, this ain't cool.
I thought I remembered seeing an entity, a soul survivor, in the cutscene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that using Banish now does not actually give you access to that entity. but it does make this a hell of a lot more difficult for some reason. Also, there seems to be some really weird delay with this minigame where I press the button and then only like a second later does Vel's attack come out.
Right.
Anyway, no entity for us.
And
that kind of sucks.
It does seem to be identified in the minigame as a not entity. And also, yeah, the difficulty seems to be from the fact that it was slightly more prolific in its firing back, as well as the fact that it had supporting attacks coming in.
Yeah, it had a skull buddy or something. I'd never seen that before, though I guess I never had a reason since the Golden Alpaca fight to actually use the Banish. Let's see what Claudio can do.
So, as far as JRPG mechanics that include this thing where it severely weakens all of your party members, normally the intent behind that is to try and, actually require you to heal or to use the healing mechanics in a way that you can then recover from. But the fact that it drops that on you on turn 1 and then provides a follow-up attack immediately thereafter sort of tells me instead that it's, just trying to do something to make the combat actually challenging, but in a way that doesn't really allow you to engage with its mechanics in the intended way, if that makes any sense.
There's this wonderful thing that you have in newer RPGs, particularly action RPGs, called counterplay, that this game sorely lacks. Old school RPGs like the Final Fantasy series have moves like Tornado, which a lot of bosses have, that take everybody in your party to 1 no matter how many HPs they had. That's usually there to force you to do something to mitigate the damage and work with the healing mechanics. They don't just put you in that position at the beginning of the fight and say, haha, climb out of this hole.
Out of my reality!
So this time, I did get lucky. I noticed that the boss had those halos over them. I then started connecting it back to the whole protected thing.
Right.
So then I realized, okay, the entity's in play. Better get rid of him. Yeah, with that, normally I would get something that says the sole survivor's been banned to the mine dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get that this time, but at least now I can actually hopefully damage the boss and all my people are alive.
Yeah.
So this is already going a fair bit better. I'm just happy I was able to figure out what the mechanic was.
True. The only thing, though, is that it's also a reminder that we haven't seen that banishment mechanic come up since facing the Golden Alpaca, so it definitely calls back that problem of some wasted potential that this game always kind of struggles with, because you never had cause to have that come up until now suddenly, and it's in this oblique mechanic where you wouldn't necessarily, it does require you to investigate somewhat what the halos mean in the context of this specific situation, but I couldn't, my immediate inclination would have just been to say, oh, okay, let's actually wait for the, I don't think I've seen this attack before.
I've never seen this before. I was figuring it out as I go.
All right, well, it got me to stop griping for a minute, so I think my point was made, though, from earlier.
Thanks, Claudio. All that for so little damage. Unfortunately, she AoE'd us, so Alex is out again. We're going to have to get him back on his feet. Anyway, so I think my core issue with this boss is this. We're talking about this oblique mechanic in which you have to discover through the banish mechanic that there's an entity about, and you can only damage the boss once you actually have banished the entity.
Right.
That's all well and good. The problem is, the game doesn't give you enough of a buffer for you to figure that out. Because what happens the first turn that you get into the boss?
You get blasted to 1 HP.
So now I'm trying to spend all my time focusing on keeping my people alive, rather than trying to probe and determine what this boss's weakness is.
That's not as scary as I thought.
Also, why is Rory at 1 HP?
I think it was because he actually got hit by the lightning first before I swapped him out.
Right, he was in your starting party that... Wait, was he?
I think he was, yeah.
I thought your starting party was Alex, Chandra, Vela,
Alex,
and...
Chandra, Michael, and Claudia.
Okay.
So I swapped in, yeah.
But Rory wasn't in the starting party. So...
He was in the party.
No, but he wasn't in the party that was there on turn 1 when everyone got blasted to 1 HP, right?
I've never actually used this before. I totally flubbed it, but thanks for the 60% HP. Yeah, no, what the original party was Alex, Chandra, Rory, and Claudio. Rory got hit. I swapped him out for Vela, and then I swapped Claudio back out for Rory.
Okay.
So Michael has never been in this fight. That was my mistake.
Okay. Yeah, because for a second I was thinking that was implying that the bring down to 1 HP attack hits characters who are outside of the active party, which...
God, I hope it doesn't.
...is kind of impressive in what a dick move that would be, but it certainly isn't what we need at this point.
Well, if you remember back when we were spelunking, the pink ketchup actually hit people that weren't in our party either. That might be different because that was out of the party, but it's still a dick move.
And I don't remember that. What strange things this game does to our expectations.
I actually don't have anything for Bella to do anymore. Nobody else can actually do any damage to this boss except Alex.
I don't know.
So I guess I'm just sort of hoping that Bella can sort of off-hit.
Yeah, Vela still makes some pretty good contributions in terms of raw damage, so...
I just think it's kind of weird that you have to specifically swap in a single character to get over the original roadblock in this fight. That just doesn't strike you as weird given you're already on timer? Like, unless you figure out that you need a specific ability from a specific character, you're not going to get anywhere in this fight.
Yeah, as I said, well, I guess I didn't say this, but we were talking a little earlier about Bravely Default, or we were off camera, and ways in which games kind of introduce you to broken mechanics and then force you to figure out ways around those same broken mechanics, because when they don't work, then you just kind of fall flat on your face. I feel like this is trying to go for that same kind of feeling, but hasn't really earned it. It hasn't given you an opportunity to try out your tactic that's already been remarkably effective. It just says, no, right from the start of the fight, you're at a tremendous disadvantage and need to, as you said, crawl your way out of the hole right away.
It's one thing for bosses to have moves like Tornado, and, like, that's already a dick move by default, but don't do that on my first entry into the boss fight, especially when, as far as I can tell, I don't actually have the ability to control the flow of the fight using a high speed stat.
What this is when I'm DMing a game of Pathfinder with friends, and I feel like they're trying to taunt me or piss me off, so I deliberately overtune the next fight that they get into so that they fear for their lives for a brief moment.
How many antlions did I say were in that next fight? 3? Oh, my bad. Let me just add a few zeros to that.
Again, there are points at which this game kind of reminds me of when I'm being a petty DM to my friends.
How did you defeat the Great Spirit Being?
Okay, guys, please just relax. Let me know how this all happened. When did you first meet the Soul Survivor?
A few days ago, the Great Spirit Being dropped his keys. I picked them up, and ever since, I've been doing his bidding!
This is literally a
Doing
Goosebumps
his
plot.
bidding? The
I
Soul
mean,
Survivors aren't
it's
some Saturday
entertaining.
morning cartoon villains. They wouldn't ask you to help them with some evil plan. I'm going to go ahead and assume you just picked up the keys and carried them around pretending to be its evil minions. Okay, you can go.
Well, that was something.
They can go considering their character models were never in that scene to begin with.
Around an android?
And their character models were never seen again.
What the hell is going on here?
Let's go to the van. Maybe once we open it up, we can find some clues.
Let's go put those keys where they belong, in the garbage.
I'll give it this. The fact that the game felt like introducing a boss fight like that and ending it on a joke was almost kind of
Why was I
entertaining.
so convinced finding this
I actually am
was such a
okay
good
with the
thing?
occasional diversion of the
putting
plot
myself
in
in
order to
danger
do a
like
joke
this?
boss battle.
A lot of
That
times I
doesn't
felt
rub
like
me
I
the
was an
wrong
airplane
way.
circling the landing strip, waiting for clearance, waiting for a purpose.
It's just
Maybe I was
that it was
Alex,
also a very
android
bad
hunter.
boss battle, so.
That didn't make sense.
Man, I'm surprised I actually got through that with only
Alex,
one death.
sole
I could have been there
survivor
all
hunter.
day just trying random
Still not right.
bullshit PP moves until I found one that did something.
She was beautiful. Masterful creation.
Oh,
God.
no.
Smooth
Oh,
plastic
yes.
skin, slick curves, and a perfectly sculpted face that reminded me of one of the anime girls in Claudia.
Really? That's the first thing you thought of?
I mean, with the green hair, it's kind of what I might think of. Maybe.
Oh no.
Also, good job on disappearing the character model as soon as...
Oh, that's not me. This was actually the intended solution. I did not add this in editing.
Uh-huh.
Hello, Alex. My favorite soul. I must thank you for coming to retrieve me.
I don't remember this from the last iteration of Rainbow Road.
What's happening?
I imagine you are wondering who I am, why I know your name, and where we are going.
Come, sit. We have much to discuss.
I think it is necessary that I first introduce myself. I am the Essentia 2000. I am an android, made from two-part epoxy resin and melamine. My consciousness is natural, but my physical form is man-made. I exist in all realities simultaneously, and can account for all parallel versions of my soul. Now, for the question that is burning away at you the most.
Oh, of course she talks kind of like Alex as well.
You and I have
She
met
does.
time and time again.
And she talks a lot like Vela.
We are soulmates, in the true sense of the word. This is the part where you say, I've never met you before. And then silently add, except in my dreams.
I appreciate that she has a different pitch for trying to imitate
Many
Alex.
months ago, you
I
had
noticed that
the pleasure
too.
of
I thought that
making
was
the
kind of funny,
acquaintance of
actually.
Miss Sunny
This is
Park.
actually giving me some pretty serious Zero Escape 999 vibes, though.
Leaving her physical form behind. When you met her, she had already
I will
made
say
up
that
her
this is,
mind to leave
to me,
her
a
body
twist of
and enter into
early
the place
Final
between
Fantasy
places.
proportions.
The soul
Which
space.
one? Because they had various twists and
You
various
disrupted her
magnitudes.
Shortly
So,
after,
hmm.
you witnessed two
Final
soul
Fantasy
survivors
IV
taken
had
by
the
life.
whole thing where secretly
Those two
everything was
entities were
engineered
that
by moon
two-thirds of her
people.
soul that had transitioned. Two
You're right,
injured
that
parts
plot
that
twist
had
comes
to
like
be
literally
healed.
out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It
Now
never
you
shows up
remember.
anywhere except
How can you
until you
possibly
literally
know
get
all
to the
this?
moon.
I was there. I am Semi, and Semi is me. When
I
one
guess
soul
Final
leaves
Fantasy
a
VI's
reality,
twist was slightly
another can
earlier
freely
in
enter.
that one of your main
The
characters
only
was an Esper the
requirement
whole
necessary
time.
is having
That's not
some
really a
relation
twist.
to
They,
the
I think they
departed
come
soul.
out and straight up say
Whether
that.
it's being
And you
a
get other
parallel version
Espers in
of
the
the
party.
departing, or having
It's the
an
twist that
emotional
ends the
connection to
first
the
act,
departing.
if I recall.
When
It
Semi
is,
left your
yes.
reality,
Are you talking
I
about
entered.
the thing that Terra is not only an
Before
Esper
that,
but also
this
the
physical
the
form was
product of
destroyed,
a human
captured,
Esper
and
union?
held prisoner
Because that
by the
also
two
comes up in the
entities
first
that you
act.
That
just
part comes
defeated
up
in
a bit
combat.
later, but no, as they say,
Ever since
it's
then,
when
I've
it's
been trying
when
to return.
she meets
But as my
Valikamanda for
physical
the
form
second
still
time and
held
then
trace amounts
transforms
of
and
my
freaks out and
consciousness,
flies away.
I had to
Oh,
wait
right.
until Semi
Spoilers for
This
two
reality's
Final
version of
Fantasies,
me.
I guess.
died or
Yeah,
escaped
we're really
into the
racking
soul
them up
space.
here.
Upon her voyage into the void, I entered, and I followed you home. I lived with you for weeks as I gained my strength. Finally, I was able to appear to you and guide you to the radio tower.
I guess I'm glad that closes off a plot thread and definitively establishing that
What did...
she's a sole survivor who's possessed his house, creepypasta style.
But it doesn't actually explain anything. Have we ever known people to be able to just borrow soul survivors' bodies?
I am Sammy Park. I am Oda Kreutzer. Bayless Albert. Surya Yamama.
And those other people we haven't met.
I am Vela Wild. Beta Himura. And many more.
Barrow we actually talked about with Chandra in the last episode.
Right. Still not convinced that's a real girl's name in Japanese.
Himura sounds like a legitimate Japanese name.
It is a legitimate Japanese surname.
Saying that I am them, and they are me.
Thou art thee art thou. Stick your hand in the TV. Do it.
This is all possible.
First, I will begin with the dreams you had of me. As a spirit, we are not restrained by physical barriers.
Or logic, apparently.
However, without a body, it is impossible to astral project. When you slept, I was able to enter inside of your vessel and use it to launch my spiritual form out into the world to seek my physical body. I am sorry that I violated you in such a way, but it was the only way.
So I will say that I
my body
don't
and
exactly
physical
hate
contact
the
with you.
specific visual of, like, Alex connected to the Essentia 2000 by physical wires. It's sort of, you know, a neat artistic image in isolation. It's just...
I actually do really like that. I think that's one of the best 90s surrealist JRPG type images that they've managed to pull off so far.
The only problem is now they're doing this thing where they're repeating the exact angles and perspectives and camera movements of each shot from one to the next while this conversation is happening.
We have a 15-minute cutscene, but only 15 seconds of footage. Do we want to maybe cut down the cutscene so that we can get through all of our footage and not repeat any of it? Nah, that idea fucking sucks.
Especially when the parts of the dialogue seem to be repeating themselves or not particularly adding too much to the actual explanation.
I have significant issues with a lot of what was said here, but most of them surrounding the Soul Survivor mechanics. Can you just straight up share a body with somebody like the Essentia 2000 was saying she did with Alex while he slept? Because in the whole thing that Vela specifically told us, you cannot do that. You have to have an empty copy of your body in order to move to another universe. She said that, right?
Right.
Where exactly are we going?
But maybe the Essentia 2000 is special or whatever. Maybe she has superpowers that normal people in this universe don't get access to, and that's why she's likable and oh so cool.
In hopes that you will one day understand the nature of reality.
Why do you feel that I need to understand the nature of reality?
They say as they stand on somebody's tongue, this is the nature of reality, mode undershot.
Stop the reality, I want to get off.
There are no brakes on this reality train. This magical mystery tour has a few more stops.
Where we're going, we're not going to need eyes, maybe?
We're not going to need friends either, apparently. The game won't let me go back and get them.
Well, I mean, we did see how the Ascension 2000 fought a little bit earlier. I imagine she can take care of herself quite well.
I don't know, it just seems weird to me that, like, the moment we meet the Ascension 2000, we can't go back and get our friends. Like, possessive much?
I guess it sort of reinforces Alex's specific connection.
In 1993, I only knew myself to be Naila El-Amin. I was a physicist who became fascinated by the metaphysical results of my experiments. After receiving terrible news, I became increasingly depressed. In this period of struggle, I began to become aware of the space in between spaces, the soul space.
I'm starting to see why one of the developers' wives threw up at this part.
Explore the various facets of existence I had just discovered, but my body was weak, and I was going to die. I feared separation from my own body, so I created the Essentia 2000.
This camera's gone from slightly unmotivated to way too active very quickly.
It's not waiting on any particular thing. I can't see what's... I don't have enough time to look at any of this.
something incredible
So what
happened.
typically better RPGs like this do with shots like this is that they'll sort of pace them out evenly over the entire conversation, where this just seems to be repeating them regardless of the actual speed of the dialogue.
Maybe that's the point, is just to overwhelm you with all this sort of crazy imagery.
Yeah, but that only works if you make sure they have enough room to not have to repeat themselves 3 times in the same conversation.
Yeah, there are plenty of other interesting things in this room we could look at.
So you mean to say that Vela and Sammy share the same soul, but they are not the same person?
Essentially, yes. We have the capacity to be anything that we'd like to be.
So I have a question about this. They had said that basically the development of the Essentia 2000 was a joint effort, right?
Right.
Between specifically Nyla Elamine and Vladimir Tessar, which is the other one that she mentioned, right?
Right.
She said like another me came along and finished that work. How did they get in contact with one another?
Well, they're saying that something just within the Essentia essentially gestalted the 2 people together, if that makes any sense.
That's not the reading I'm getting. What I'm getting is that they stored this somewhere, and then like they both worked on it independently without the knowledge of the other one. That I don't understand. I hope this will be explained somewhere, along with the weird grainy like 80s horror filter they've got going on. That's not me. That's the game.
Maybe next time.